Hi everyone, today I'm going to talk about the film Vertigo, which is an American film directed in 1958 starring James Stewart and Ken Novak and directed by Alfred Hitchcock. It talks about a detective who, during an investigation, he suffered lots of stress and he developed extreme fear of heights. And for this reason, he had to retire earlier than expected. After a while, he had a friend, a former friend who he hadn't met for a while, and his friend, he had married a very rich woman, and he wanted James Stewart, because he knew his friend was a detective, he wanted James Stewart to investigate his wife. But his friend made it clear that it wasn't because of infidelity. His wife was behaving very strangely. She was behaving like her great-grandmother, even though she had never heard of her great-grandmother. And her husband, he was afraid that she was possessed or something like that. And then his friend, played by James Stewart, he said that he couldn't investigate his wife because he was no longer a detective, he was retired. Then his friend insisted, saying that he only trusted him, he hadn't talked to any doctor yet, because he wanted to make sure of what was happening with his wife so he could take proper steps. So James Stewart, he started to investigate the wife of his friend, played by Ken Novak. And then he saw her going to a museum, going to the grave, which was of her great-grandmother, and he saw her going to places. Then he went to a hotel because he had just seen her by the window of the hotel, but then the clerk said that she wasn't there. She showed the bedroom to him, it was empty, and he thought that he was hallucinating or something like that. After a while, he continued following the woman and she fell into a river without any apparent reason. Then the former detective, he saved the woman from drowning and he had nowhere else to bring her, and he ended up bringing her to his house. And then it was a very beautiful woman. He fell deeply in love with the woman to the point of obsession, and he could see that she had suicidal tendencies. So after a while she went home and they kept meeting and they fell in love with each other. One day they went into a church looking at the landscape, but then suddenly she went up the stairs and without any explanation or apparent reason, she threw herself out of the window tower and she fell to her death. She took her own life without any reason. And of course that detective, he was heartbroken, he was depressed, he had to be in the hospital because of that, in a catatonic mood. Of course that he wasn't blamed for the woman's death. He was there, he witnessed that she took her own life. He didn't murder her, but he was very heartbroken because he was deeply in love with the woman. And after a while, he was walking down the street and he saw a woman that looked very much like the deceased woman. The only difference is that the deceased woman, she was blonde, and this woman, she had a different haircut and was red-haired. Then he got closer to that woman and he was kind of in love with her, but not because of herself, because she reminded him so much of the woman she loved that he fell for her. Then he asked her to wear the clothes and have the same hairstyle of the deceased woman. However, we can see that this new woman, the red-haired woman, she wrote a kind of confession letter that was never sent, saying that she pretended to be the wife of his friend all the time, because his friend wanted to murder his wife, but he wanted an alibi to make things look like an accident. So the woman he knew, she wasn't the wife of his friend. It was this red-haired woman who was pretending to be her all the time. And then she admitted that in the letter, and when she went up the stairs of the tower of the church, the husband was already holding his fainted wife, the real one. Then she threw his wife, his real wife, while the woman who was up the stairs, she was there. She didn't die. And then the guy, the detective, he thought that the woman, the friend of her, the wife of his friend, had taken her own life, but it was actually a murder. Her husband killed her, and the woman, she knew all along, she was just an actress. And then, of course, the real wife had passed away. The woman he fell, who reminded him so much of the other woman, it was the woman he met all the time. She was a poser. And then she fell in love with the detective for real, but she couldn't tell what she had done. And then she got to pretend once more that she was the wife of his friend. However, on the day that the woman took her own life, she was wearing a necklace. And then this woman, the actress, who was pretending to be the wife of his friend, she put on the same necklace. Then the detective realized what was going on, because if she fell, if the woman took her own life wearing the necklace, it couldn't be worn by another woman, because she was wearing the necklace at the moment she passed away. Then he realized that she was posing as the wife of his friend. Then he took her to the same place, to the same church where she took her own life, to the same scene of the crime, and made her confess. Then she confessed everything, that she was hired by the husband of the woman, that she pretended all along. And then the detective realized that he lost his fear for heights, because his friend insisted so much that he investigated his wife, because he knew that if her wife went to a very high place, his phobia would prevent him from chasing the woman. But then when he went to the church for the second time to make this woman to confess that she pretended to be someone else, he was under such big stress that he went to the tower of the church, he went up the stairs without realizing that. And then after the woman confessed everything, begged for his forgiveness, and said that she didn't mean any harm, that she loved him, if he could forgive her, she was a little bit scared when a nun appeared, and then by accident she fell off the tower of the church and passed away. Then the detective was really heartbroken to have lost the woman he loved for the second time. It's a very ingenious film, very well made. The scenes are always very beautiful, the landscapes, the way it was filming, the acting is wonderful. It's not a Hollywood classic without reason, and I know that you're going to love this film. That's all for now, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you!